Holley Cornetto is a writer, librarian, professor, book reviewer, and transplanted Southerner. Her novella, We Haunt These Woods, was published by Bleeding Edge Books. In addition to writing the Horror Trees newsletter, she reviews for Publishers Weekly and The Horror Tree. She teaches creative writing at Southern New Hampshire University, just down the street from me. Holley, take it away.
Hi. So I'm going to try not to break out into giggles, but if I do, just know it's because I'm thinking about those defecating tulips. So bear with me. I'm going to be reading the prologue and part of chapter 1 from my novella, We Haunt These Woods. So thank you for the introduction. And here we go. Tell me what you remember. Jennifer sat across from me in a booth at the TikTok diner. It was past midnight and the place was mostly deserted. A jukebox stood in the corner covered in dust. With its faded orange seating and cracked gray linoleum, the whole place looked like a relic of the past. Maybe that was why I'd chosen it for our reunion. I'd tried not to think of her for years and mostly succeeded until that picture popped up on my social media feed with the header, People You May Know. She'd changed, that was certain, but I still recognized her. That photo stirred feelings long dormant within me. Feelings I thought I'd left behind. Imagine my surprise when not only did she remember me, but agreed to meet. I hadn't planned on talking about the past. She'd brought it up first. Nate! The urgency of her tone brought me back to the world, back to the moment. Yeah? Tell me what you remember. I swallowed hard, considering my answer. How much did I remember? How much of what I thought I knew was real? I remember the night at the bonfire when we found out about Franklin. I had a crush on you. Did you know that? I was nervous. I looked away, feeling a rush of heat on my cheeks. I thought the confession would be easy, that we could just laugh it off. But there was something in that look she gave me, something there that reminded me of the old Jennifer and of the way things used to be. But she wasn't the old Jennifer, not anymore. She had so many piercings in her face that she resembled a pincushion. From the looks of it, her hair had once been blue, but it was now faded to green from neglect. She was still beautiful, no doubt, but the last 20 years hadn't been kind. My stomach fluttered. I'd been so anxious about seeing her again that I hadn't been able to eat. I just paced around most of the day, drinking coffee, wondering who she'd become and what she'd think of me now that we were older. Maybe that's how it was with first crushes. Maybe deep down you always felt a spark. What else? She turned to the seat beside her, rummaging through her oversized purse until she pulled out a prescription pill bottle. She shook a pill into her hand and swallowed it without water. The song, I muttered, drifting far away. I can't forget that song. Chapter 1. I never realized growing up how privileged I'd been. Sheltered from problems like divorce, bankruptcy, or negligent parents. My childhood had been near perfect, one that others might envy. Every summer when I was young, my family visited our cabin at Lake Swart, tucked up in the foothills of northern New Jersey. The water there was pristine, the bluest blue I'd ever seen, and the shore was covered in bone-white sand. There were 14 lake cabins in our little community, and in any given summer, most of them were occupied. It was the same families every year, and we got to know each other well during those summers together. It was tradition for our parents to throw a beach party the first night at the lake. They spent the evening drinking beer, and we made s'mores. It was when everyone caught up with each other, and all that we'd missed since last summer. S'more night was legendary. My 12th year at the lake, the bonfire was blazing again, sending up smoke and debris that twirled through the evening sky. The whole beach was illuminated. From the boombox by the folding chairs, a DJ promised to play all the hits from the 70s, 80s, and today. A big red cooler, half buried in the sand, was so full of Bud Light and Pepsi that the lid wouldn't close. Families started to trickle in. Brandon arrived first, wearing a crimson-tied hat and cargo pants, his pockets already bulging, no doubt from whatever rocks he'd collected along the way. He was tall and lanky, with dark eyes and skin. Brandon was an Eagle Scout, living embodiment of the old Boy Scout motto, be prepared. He fancied himself a cartographer, always drawing maps and doing calculation. Although I couldn't see it, I was sure he was wearing his prized possession, the compass necklace he'd gotten last year for his birthday. He walked over and sat on the rock nearest me, holding out a hand. We gave each other 5, up high, down low, and this time I was too slow as he jerked his hand away. It wasn't quite a secret handshake, but we got a good laugh out of it. Lee joined us at the circle next. He was older than the rest of the late kids, making him our leader by default. He wore a red bandana and a Van Halen t-shirt with a lollipop tucked behind his ear like a cigarette and a Walkman clipped on his belt buckle. Lee was a rebel, troublemaker. He reeked of cigarette smoke and danger, and we all followed his cues. He stood with his foot propped on a rock across the fire from us. "Check this out," he said, turning to show off the rat tail he'd grown out. It went down past his shoulders, but it was better than the mullet he'd had the year before. Brandon shrugged. "Cool, I guess." Lee opened his mouth to say something else, but was interrupted when Sarah and Jennifer arrived. Though sisters, they were opposites. Sarah, the older of the two, was tall and loud. She liked makeup and manicures, and by the way she looked at him, she also liked Lee. She wore sandals that were too fancy to be out in the sand and a pair of rolled-up denim cutoffs. I wasn't fooled. Those shorts had probably cost more than my entire closet worth of clothes. Jennifer was short and shy with long dark hair to her waist and bangs that hung across her forehead. When she laughed, she covered her mouth with her hand. I wondered if this would be the summer that I told her I loved her. Jennifer sat on the rock beside me. My stomach fluttered. Marcus, the youngest of our summer regulars, arrived last, and a collective groan went out from the group. "Oh, great, the loser's back," Lee sighed. "Oh, come on, he isn't so bad," I replied. Marcus was unapologetically a dork. He loved science fiction and fantasy and was practically obsessed with the X-Files and conspiracy theories. Brandon opened a box of graham crackers and passed them around. "I heard Franklin's family isn't coming this year." I looked around the group. None of the others reacted. "What happened?" I asked. "I don't know. His family moved or something," Brandon answered, unwrapping a chocolate bar. "They won't be back this summer or maybe ever." He passed the chocolate to me. "That sucks." I broke off a block and passed it to Jennifer. I blushed when her hand brushed mine. I wondered if she had a boyfriend. "That isn't what happened," Marcus said, taking the seat to my left. "Shut up, Dorcas. Nobody cares what you think," Sarah snapped. Lee leaned forward, feigning interest. "Well, come on, weirdo. What do you think happened?" I knew where this was going. Lee was looking for fuel, something he could use to tease Marcus for the rest of the summer, and that dope Marcus was dumb enough to give it to him. Marcus cleared his throat, speaking in conspiratorial tones. He vanished. They never found him. And that's where I'm going to leave off.